Must not be time yet. Ow.
You want to go turn it down right now? It's 6:59.
You just did. Thanks. Call the May town council, regular town council meeting.
Hit it again.
Attention, please. I'd like to call the town council meeting to order. Debbie, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brockmeyer. Councilmember Berger.
Present.
Councilmember Holdren.
Present.
Councilmember Oswald.
Here.
Councilmember Knock.
Here.
Councilmember Marino.
Here.
And Mayor Foxy. Sorry, guys. Hold on, we'll get that straight in a second. Maybe.
We have an echo.
Yeah, I just had to mute the TV, sorry.
Brandon's not on by, he's not on there. Okay, no, make sure he's not. All right, the pledge of allegiance.
Liberty and justice for all.
I thought there are two chances, there's a public hearing on the budget. There's also, there's a normal chance to make public comment at a meeting. So if you sign up to speak on the budget, please limit your comments on the budget. And if you want to talk at the other, you can talk again with the public comment about anything that you're concerned about.
Mr. Mayor, I move to amend the agenda to include an item of an update from Main Street President Lisa Figge. It's possible to have that following public comment.
All for it. So that's coming at the 5.5.
You said after public comment?
All right, do we have a motion to accept approve the minutes from the April 22nd meeting?
So moved. Second.
Okay, discussion on that, any corrections, anybody have corrections that weren't made earlier to Matt or Debbie?
I had some corrections that I sent and then were made. Do you want the details of those?
If you haven't given them to them, yes.
I have given them to Matt and Debbie, but not to the rest of the council.
Is there a substantial Seeing-
Really important.
The one that is the most meaningful is a clarification on the comment on the pickleball courts.
Could you give us what page you're on?
Top of page 3 of the packet. It says currently there are no pickleball courts on the mid shore. The clarification is there are no public pickleball courts. There are others, but they're not available to anybody walking up.
You got that, Deb?
Yes.
All right.
But that calls to mind, is that what we said, or is that?
I
It
think
was said.
Sarah's
no
right, public. Yeah.
Pickleball courts on the mid shore.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the minutes from the April meeting? All in favor of accepting them as presented?
Aye.
As amended.
Amended, opposed? Okay. All right. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on the budget, the 24-25 budget. So the public hearing is now open. Matt is going to give us a brief discussion of the budget.
As soon as it opens.
Sure.
There's one chair at the front.
Okay, so I'm going to take a few minutes and go through some of the highlights of the 24-25 budget. Most of you know that 25 means June 30th of 2025. That's the end of our fiscal year, and July 1 of 2024 is the beginning. Yeah, next slide. We received, as you all know, an assessment increase to our real estate from the county of 19.1%. Our current real estate rate was 28 cents. And whenever we have an increase in the assessment, you're required to provide what the tax rate would be in order to raise the same number of dollars. Our real estate tax dollars are $400,000. So with that 19.1 increase in 28 cents, to raise the same dollar amount was 23.5 cents. The proposed budget is 24.2, which raises that by 0.007 cents per dollar and 3% or 3%. Total operating budget from fiscal 24 to fiscal 25 increased by less than 1%. So what does the real estate tax mean to me? I have 3 different house levels there, 158.9, 330,000, and then 972. I figured that would spread what this would cost each of us. At 28 cents, I'm just going to go through the top line, is $444 of taxes. The new assessment goes from 158.9 to 189,250. And at the rate that we've suggested of 24.2, that's $458 in taxes, which is an increase of $14. That's the same as the middle person with $330,000. Their increase went up to $393,000, but they only have to pay $28 more in taxes. So 3% in real estate taxes. This is what you're looking at. Okay, next slide. For personal property taxes, one of the things that happened this year was, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, but vehicle assessments went through the roof. Well, this time they dropped. So we lost $4 million worth of basically our vehicles in town that we can tax. That causes a reduction in revenue of $68,000. My recommendation was to go from $1.70 to $1.75 for the personal property and vehicles. That raises $13,500, but still causes a net loss of $54,500 because of the reduction in the assessment value of the vehicles. So the 3% increase, we're still down $54,500, to be clear. And then I just want to remind everybody what council did a few years back was eliminating the personal property taxes on all Anacog businesses. We don't tax you on the tools to do your job anymore. And I think that's very, very important for people to know and to remember. The personal property tax on a vehicle. Well, what does that 3% mean to me? So again, I did the same thing. I have a Subaru, I have a Toyota, and I have a Lincoln. It's a nice Lincoln. I don't remember what the thing was, but Navigator, thank you. I was gonna noodle around. But the assessed rate on the Subaru is $18,475, real standard vehicle for us. They currently pay $314. With the new tax rate, they'll pay $323. That's an increase of $9. Same thing with the Toyota, $15, and even the very expensive Lincoln is $35 a year. So I just want people to see what the impact of a 3% tax increase has on us. Okay, excellent. Water and sewer, I also recommended a 3% increase. Currently, you'll see that you've got a minimum of $32.10 every other month. It's going to go to $33.06 every other month. I mean, these are very small numbers. I want everybody to recognize that nobody's making hard choices basing it on $9 a year. Okay. The other rates, everything went up 3%. It's just flat across the board, 3%. The sewer rates, same thing. We went up 3%. There's no tier there, so it's just literally $16.56 for every 1,000 gallons that you use. Garbage, I did recommend an increase from $12 per month to $13 per month. We have a contract with Davis Disposal. It's $108,000. If you divide that by the number of people who receive services, it's roughly $13 a month. This is a break even for us. We don't make any money. We don't lose any money. It's just to cover the cost of trash. Okay. This is a report I just want everybody to see from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, published in March of 24, that the CPI and the inflation was 3.2 and 3.3% respectively. With a 3% increase in taxes, we're exactly where the world is. So this just shows the total budget, every dollar spent. You can see that in vertical columns, or in rows rather, each you go from government activity down to net change, then special revenue down to net change. Each of those categories or funds have to balance to zero. So that's sort of how the accounting works. So government activities, that's town hall, town office, public works, all of that type of thing. Our expenses are up by 0.02%. I mean, that's flat. So we're not increasing any expenses. There's no extraordinary items. Special revenue or grants, what that basically means are what grant monies are going to come in and what grant monies are going to come out. And because grants are grants, we have to spend them all. So that's why that's zero. The only activity that's of any real mention is in the business activity, water. We're going to sign a preventive maintenance agreement for somebody to take care of our tank. The tank meaning inside sterilization, outside washing, all parts and repairs, that type of thing. So if you take out that cost, which is $19,000, I'm not hiding anything. The PM agreement on that tank is $19,000. If you take that out, our water expenses are up by 0.008. I mean, these are flat budgets. So I want everybody to see that there's no extraordinary items going in. There's no nothing that we're not doing this year that we're doing next year. We're just really holding firm and holding tight. So next. This is the capital improvement plan. We're required as part of our resolution to say what we're going to do for capital improvements over the next 5 years. This is that plan. The council's been looking at it for months now. We have the cash to do this, and it shows that right now we have $4.3 million in the bank. By the time we finish all 5 years of these projects, we'll still have 1.9 million in the bank and all those projects. Plus, it also assumes that we won't generate any new reserves, which is a very conservative assumption. So that's the capital improvement plan. It's been around months, and I think you're going to start to see some really fantastic things happen as a result of it. And so we've got a real estate increase of 3%. We saw what the impact of that is on real people. Personal property tax increase by 3%, still loses the town money, but it also doesn't cost very much for each taxpayer. The water rates are 3%, just like the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows us. Our total expenses for the town are up by 0.02%. Our water expenses are up by less than 1% net of that new water tower PM agreement. And this is our town map. I made that, so there you go.
All right, thank you. We are not legally allowed to vote on the budget tonight.
No.
That's going to be on the June meeting. So we're just hearing public comment about the budget. We will not be voting on any of the budget. I'll be discussing, but the vote will be on at the June meeting.
And it's 3-minute limit, yes?
Yeah, it's a 3-minute limit. If you have a question versus a comment about the budget, we'll try at the end of the session, we'll try to answer. If we can answer that question really simply, we'll do that. But we're not going to stop for every person. Okay. All right. Mark Sinclair, you're first up. Please, again, budget comments only. There's another session for color comments. They don't have to address, just tell me whether you live in town or not.
Good evening, my name is Mark Sinclair. I live just outside of town on Greenway Circle. Last month, I stood before this council and said that members of this town had proverbial bees under their bonnets regarding any town funding for the Anacog School. I also stated they were making arguments and using rumors, not facts. The ad in last Friday's Eastern Shore Post proves my point clearly. Submitted to the Post by the Anacog Residents Group, better known as the Org, the ad was designed to do nothing but besmirch the good reputation of the Anacog School and insinuates that the school is the reason for 3% tax hikes the residents are now facing. In the 16 years of the school's existence, this town has never been a major contributor to the school's financial success. The implication that they are the cause of tax increases is just plain false, and the Org knows it. The ad stated that Mayor Foskey wanted to spend $350,000 on HVAC for the school, even though Org members clearly heard him say that he would like to arrange a USDA loan for the school, not give them the money directly. Again, the Org was here, they heard it, and they intentionally misrepresented the fact. There has indeed been discussions by this council about funding the school on a regular basis. There have also been discussions about one-time donations to the school. The ad seems to indicate that the town wants to spend $400,000 this year and $25,000 every year thereafter. That just isn't true, and the Org knows it. You know, it's funny. The Org wants you to watch every dollar you spend, but they only point their fingers at the school. Not a word about hundreds of thousands proposed for replacing streetlights. Not a word about tens of thousands proposed for the new street signs. Oh, sorry, I forgot. They did have numerous words about one sign directing visitors to the school. Not a word about the hundreds of thousands proposed for the Queen Street parking lot. Not a word about tens of thousands spent in the Northeast neighborhood. Not a word about the thousands proposed for the Sunset Park. Just the school. The Org has already cost this town $15,000 in legal fees and countless wasted hours of time. They have cost the school untold thousands in increased building costs, denied the school 2 years of performances already and the associated revenue, as well as seriously affecting their fundraising ability. It's time for this to stop. I and countless people too afraid to speak publicly support funding the school. One last comment. Having a member of this council flippantly call the school a vanity project was unwarranted and uncalled for. especially given the fact that that member was here all those years ago and signed the original lease. Thank you for your time.
Oh, Rosemary.
I'm Rosemary Popero, and I am a participant in org, so I'll say that. My concerns about the budget are this. First, we're still only giving $25,000 to the fire department. I understand that the fire department receives funds from other places, but I am concerned that they need additional funds, we know, to recruit more volunteers. My concern is that our volunteers are aging out, and that if we don't support them further with giving them additional dollars, we may end up with a paid fire department, which is going to cost us all a lot more money. Last time I was here, I also spoke about the Northeast Playground. I was happy to see in the budget that we might be replacing the wood chips with rubberized mulch. I think that's a great idea. But when I'm looking at the $80,000 for the pickleball court, the kids that I talk to, and if you go to the playground, you'll see the basketball court is just, it's all broken up. There's grass growing everywhere. Those kids deserve better from us. They are the future. They deserve a repavement. I saw it in there as a plan further out, but I think that that is something that has to be prioritized. I also think that better benches with caretakers and people that go to the park, they should really essentially have the same services that the playground at the school has. Water, I see that we're paying $157,000 annually in interest on bonds. I'm not sure what those bonds are because there's no footnote. I think that the budget would be better if it was annotated and we knew what the principal on those bonds are. $157,000 a year in interest is a lot of money. And when that principal amount is due, I don't know if it's something that's going to be forgiven by the state or if we're going to have to cough up the money at some point. And I don't know what the principal is, maybe you do. The list of cash reserves are shown on the budget, but I think it's really also normal to have a list of liabilities, and I think we should know what our long-term liabilities are. You should know, the townspeople should know. And with respect to the HOS, you know, we do pay for the water and insurance for the HOS, which is $8,600 this year. There are in the budget that came out proposed loans of $600,000 to the HOS. And we know that the tenants there pay fixed rents. They don't pay electric, they don't pay heat, they don't pay water, they don't pay insurance, which normal tenants would pay. So I think that if the spaces are being subsidized by the taxpayers and residents of Nantucket, that those spaces should go first. First dibs should go to people in town, as opposed to people outside of town. That's it.
Thank you for your comments.
Alrighty.
Liz?
Oh, that was just me signing in.
Okay.
I didn't have a
Okay.
comment.
Jan and Regan?
Good evening, council members, Mayor Foskey and Mr. Spock. Jane Draco, 1907 Tibby Farm Road in Hancock. Before I begin, I want to publicly acknowledge the work and service provided by Mr. Spock. You have a jewel here, and I hope that you realize that. I'm speaking tonight to clarify what I think is misinformation related to the pickleball courts. One, there's room for all the important requests in the 2024 and 2025 budgets. Second, the EDA grant that was recommended will require charging for the court use. These would require paying someone to monitor the courts at least 12 hours a day, and I think we can all agree that the court should be public and free. Three, the location of the courts was not proposed in a residential area, but behind a residential area behind the dog park. I sent you a sound check, which clearly shows no disturbance to the closest residents. I believe it would be helpful for the town to create reasons for people to come here as residents and visitors. Beyond the marina and playgrounds, there's little for people to do 365 days a year. To increase the economy, people need daily options, not just events to spike the economy. My second topic is a neighbor to neighbor program. I fully support a place for seniors to gather. A 10% return of the surveys is 55, which is a great return. 10 of those surveys returned to ask for services now, which means that 45 or 81% did not see the services needed at this time. As was mentioned in the budget meeting, the steps needed should be clearly outlined. Renovation on the second floor will cost $175,000. It will also require additional funds in every operational budget moving forward for electricity, cleaning, paper products, soap, trash removal, tables, chairs, etc. My understanding is once you put in an elevator, you also have to renovate the restrooms to be ADA compliant. Someone's needed to plan the activities for the gatherings, gather materials, schedule room use, and advertise. Most senior centers are funded by grants. There are 3 churches that I know of on Market Street that open their doors to public use. The HOS is also available and willing to work with you. Why not use free or low-cost venues, build the momentum of attendance, and collect good data on attendance? And then ask council for a smaller budget to get you started. If the concept takes off and becomes an active organization and the numbers show the need, then look at putting money into the renovations. There is a senior center in Chincoteague, the Island Community House, that is funded totally by grants from organizations such as United Way, the Eastern Shore Community Fund, and the Hampton Roads Community Fund. They also have a paid full-time director who organizes events and manages the building. With a larger population of 3,226 and a full-time director in Chincoteague, the center still only sees 2 to 10 people for regularly planned events. It's not likely that the 10 people that you've identified will be interested in the same focus for gatherings. So before spending an excess amount of money on renovation project, why not walk before you run, iron out the logistics, and find your constituents? I do support the funding startup for a senior center. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Hill? No?
Small sided.
Oh, okay. Oh, John. Lord, our Lord, Williams. Two Park Street?
Yeah, just signed in this time.
Oh, okay, sorry. Gary Baird?
Good evening, Mayor Bosky, Town Council, and Town Manager Suck. I'm Carrie Baird. I'm a resident of Anacog, and I am now the Vice President of Friends of Anacog School. In the past month, during the routine maintenance, we have been advised that our 65-plus-year-old oil burner is on its very last legs and will most likely not have the capacity to make it through another winter season. We have been advised that we can take a large load off the furnace by converting the first floor to a mini split HVAC system. The furnace, if we do that, the furnace might be able to limp along to heat the lower level for another year. This will cut off 18 studios off the old system. Mini splits are more efficient as individual spaces can be controlled when residents are there. And electric is cleaner and less expensive than oil. Since Friends of Anacog School does not own the building, we are excluded from obtaining loans ourselves to make the necessary improvements. The building is owned by the town of Anacog, and we are therefore asking the town to apply for the loans referred to on page 35 of your meeting packet under FOS. I thank you for your time and consideration in preparing the budget for the town for the 2025 fiscal year. We believe that the historic Anacog School is a valuable contributor to the town, residents and visitors to Anacog and the Eastern Shore. And we trust that you will take the appropriate actions to save this historic building for future generations. I'd like to include this statement in the town council meeting minutes, and I've given a copy to Debbie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jeff Davis.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Davis. I live in on Hancock zip code wise, but I'm outside of Matt's perimeter mark there. I'm one of the volunteers who helps with the routine maintenance of HOS. As a result, I witnessed families enjoying the facilities of the playground installed by FOS. Additionally, I see folks enjoying a walk on the nature trail, some of whom accompanied by their dogs. This is on a daily basis when I'm there. You approach the school and you are welcomed by love. The classic columns segue to doors, which with warming weather are often open. I've had the benefit of talking to the alumni, several of the alumni, who all share a common thread. They enjoyed their time out at Hancock School. They liked seeing it flourish. I myself had relatives who attended. Recently, we put together a beautiful soccer goal and another set, which was the original for the youth program 30+ years ago. And the reason I know this history was a gentleman saw us working on it. He walks out there and he told us his participation into its legacy. It was pretty interesting from my perspective. But just a few Saturdays ago, we had our first field day. In spite of an inclement start, a noteworthy number of families did show up. Participants enjoyed field games, mural painting, tacos, ice, and music. Positivity abounds on these properties. Every time you enter, we continue to work towards the preservation of family, community, and history. These are values to embrace. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Here we go. Marjorie, I think I got hers. I did.
Good evening, I'm Margie Lavity. I'm an Anacog resident. I'm treasurer of the board of the Friends of Anacog School. The Friends of Anacog School's board of director and all our volunteers care for the historic Anacog School. We literally put our time and love into HOS. How, you ask? Here's a brief list of some of the assets that HOS brings to the Anacog community. The playground with rubber mulch, benches, picnic tables, and blackboards, and is on the Playground Buddy app. It took 1,600 volunteer hours to construct it at a cost of $106,000 to make the playground the way it is today. $10,600 was paid by an HOS fundraising campaign. $15,000 came from a DHCD grant applied for by the town of Anacog. The balance was paid by public contributions and donations. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Anacog? Zero. The disc golf course is an official one-half course with professional benefit and is on the UDisc app. It took 20 volunteer hours to install a $5,400 setup to make it the way that it is now. It was completely funded by grant money. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Anacog? Zero. The athletic field with 2 new sets of soccer goals took 15 volunteer hours to install, $3,500 to make it the way it is today. $1,500 came from the HOS budget, $2,000 was paid through grant funding. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Anacog? Zero. The Anacog Nature Trail, the Eastern Shore Master Naturalists and citizens volunteered to install it at no cost. A Chesapeake Bay Foundation grant funded interpretive signs. HOS volunteers and master naturalists maintain the trail and have done so for 15 years. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Anacog? Zero. The Little Free Library and the Story Trail were both constructed by HOS volunteers. $2,300 was the total cost of both and were completely funded by donations. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Anacog? Zero. Our love sign. It took over 100 volunteer hours to build and install it and $10,900 to fund it the way it is today. It was funded completely through donations. How much did it cost the taxpayers of Onancock? Nothing. Our building and grounds provide free internet to the public through Newbeam at no cost to taxpayers. We maintain the creek observation deck and have replaced the rails and the bench there. Since 2009, HOS has spent approximately $200,000 on routine maintenance to the building that we lease to keep it sound and safe. And that includes things like servicing the roof, our very old furnace, the gutters, and painting. We provide maintenance to the town-owned public parking lot. And we pay the town $4,500 seasonally to mow the grass. We would like the historic Onancock School to continue to be an asset for our town. We want to save it and keep it as a vital community center. We ask the town council for support. I thank you so much, and please include my notes that have already been submitted to you.
Thank you for your name. Matt question?
Mayor Foskey, members of the town council, and Matt Spuck. I'm Pat Fleck, and I live in Onancock, just outside of the town limits. I'm the secretary for the board of the Friends of Onancock School. I would like to respond to statements made during public comments last month in regards to the playgrounds at the historic Onancock School and the northeast section of town. A speaker implied by omission that the playground at HOS was funded by the town. In fact, no taxpayer dollars were used to build that playground. Funding from the Robert E. and Marie Orr Smith Foundation provided substantial grants totaling $86,500 for the playground equipment, the rubber mulch, and additional amenities, including ADA accessible sidewalks, shaded picnic areas, a little free library, and a story trail. In addition to the Orr Smith grant, Friends of Onancock School received a $15,000 Department of Housing and Community Development grant, and through their own fundraising campaign, raised over $10,000 for picnic tables and benches. The construction of the playground took about 2 months to complete and was accomplished by over 30 volunteers, donating more than 1,500 hours of their time. These volunteers came from town and beyond the town limits. The playground is a regular destination for homeschool groups, elementary school field trips. It is also a venue for children's birthday parties and family reunions. It is not unusual to see families sharing a picnic dinner at the playground during the warmer months. The HOS playground is open to all and is a gift to the community. And I'd like these statements included.
Thank you for your comment. Sylvia Dowling.
We'll leave up public speaking for a while. Mayor Foskey, members of the town council, and town manager Spuck. My name is Cynthia Sereni Downing. I own property on Mount Prospect. However, I live outside of town. Since emotion is being used to influence your budget decisions, I would like to offer a different use of emotions, the one of history and heritage. Other town councils who have gone before you have all faced the hard decisions when it comes to the town budget. In 1920, the residents of the town of Onancock, unhappy with the quality of the school building provided by Accomack County, approached town council to find a way to build a state-of-the-art building for the school-age children in town to attend, but also to have a place to gather for meetings, social events, and entertainment. Because of the efforts of the town council and the residents of the count of Onancock, in 1921, the dream of having their own school and community center became a reality. As a sidebar, if you have not seen the memorabilia exhibit, I would encourage you to come up and look and see the pictures and the articles about this event.
In 2006, a small group of alumni and interested citizens who recognized the importance of preserving this property and stepped up to become its stewards, since the town of Anacog was in no position to restore it. For 16 years, the Friends of Anacog School have worked to restore this piece of town history to be, once again, a viable, quote unquote, place for all to gather and enjoy. I am asking this council to also consider itself, along with the Friends of Anacog School, as stewards of the property that a past town and its council fought so hard to obtain. Please give the budget items in your packet careful consideration through a different lens. FOS has taken care of the property for 16 years without any funding from the town. We have a proven record. On a personal note, I'm very sad that so much time, money, and energy is being spent to discredit the town council and the work of FOS. The Shore is a very special place. This is not how we do business here. Please include this statement into the town council minutes, and I thank you for your time.
Mona,
Thank you.
this.
Thank you.
That's me. Hello. Hello. I don't remember everybody's name, so I'm not even gonna try, and I didn't even think of the point people out, the general, hello. My name is Maura Davis, and I am currently the president of the Eastern Shore Art League. And HOS and the Art League have had an important relationship. Being in HOS allows us to have a gallery. That, mind you, in 2023, in the Coastal Virginia magazine, it was listed as one of the top galleries. Yeah. Our room that we rent gives us the opportunity to hold workshops and meetings, and our organization is growing. So I'm kind of proud of that too. But it wouldn't happen without HOS. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And on a personal note, and this is truly how I feel, I moved here 6 years ago because he brought me here. And I like it very much. But when I look at it, I think HOS is the heart of Anacog. No other place brings groups of people together to celebrate, visit, and have fun. And what is good for one will benefit the others.
Thank you. Ms. Silverhart?
Good evening. Council members, mayor, everyone. I'm Priscilla Hart. I live in Onampa, downtown. I want to talk about a couple of things. First, I was extremely encouraged to see that there was funding available for a senior gathering space upstairs on the second floor. So I do hope that those funds will be available, and I think it's extremely important. I realize that there are senior spaces and programs in the various churches. I think a non-sectarian location would be appropriate. So I appreciate the fact that it's in there, and I hope it will be supported. The second thing I want to talk about is pickleball court. I was surprised when there was a request for a pickleball court. $80,000 for a pickleball court. I prefer to see those funds allocated in another manner. Thirdly, got a question about the 3% tax increase. We have a budget surplus. So would there be some relief in that area? I would like you to consider that. And the last thing I want to talk about is the HOS. Everybody's talking about the HOS. And I realize there are tons of people who have supported the HOS, who have worked very hard for the HOS. And there are many people who still contribute to it. What I do want to say, however, is that was then, this is now, the school has been here for a very long time. There are lots of emotional attachments to that school. And at some point, I'm not sure it makes financial sense. I can tell you personally, I had a whole bunch of cars. I always got attached to my old cars. And they would break, something would go wrong. I would spend more money on it. The next week, the window wouldn't work, in the air conditioner, I'd still spend money because I was attached to it. Finally, I stopped doing that. I do think, however, that it's a matter of making a good business decision. I would hope to see, and I look around everyone in this room, I'm looking at our age groups here. I think a much better use of that property would be senior housing. I really think, and don't take it personally, but I really think that when you look at this, it would be a better use of funds. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mhm.
Any talking?
Oh, here's the guy, here's our guy.
Oh, no, that's.
Mr. Corbett.
Mayor and Town Council, Eddie Corbett, live over on 7 Chandler Street. They've been there quite a while. And I guess, just interested me what would come up in the paper about that. And I understand there's been some discussion on that both ways. But it just seems like that maybe a good bit of money is going into this kind of thing. And it's like you say, someone else is getting all the benefit of it. There's a lot of town residents that probably don't care a whole lot what they do with the school. Although whatever they do, it ought to be good. And well, I just like to consider it this way, that whatever is being put into it ought to be paid by the ones that are benefited by it, who will get the most benefit out of it. And for whatever that'll be worth, and I appreciate the interest in it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Bill Brown? You live here?
Thank you, Mayor Foskey, Town Council, Town Manager, and Matt Spuck. I do indeed live in Onancock, 46 Kirk Street. I'm also the president of the Onancock Business and Civic Association, 18-year resident and business owner. Speaking directly to the budget, I support the proposed budget and urge the council to vote in favor. Specifically, I am in favor of the town supporting the school with the new heating and AC system. To better frame my support for the school, I think it's good to look back about 17 years or so to a time when there was a wide consensus that the town of Onancock as a destination and a place to live relied on like several foundational pillars. There's the town in general, our downtown. And today it could be seen as kind of an invigorated town administration on Onancock Main Street and the Onancock Business and Civic Association all working together, sometimes cooperatively. The Car Place was always considered one of the pillars of the community. And then came the school. It was the new kid on the block. A dream that realized, a hope for future success, a risk worth taking. The town council with support from the community, took that risk. And I believe it has become a pillar of this community, and if you agree, I would love to hear your support. But how does that jive with the impression today held by some that the school is a liability, not an asset? How do we go from looking at the school as a pillar of our community to a liability? Why do decisions come down to fund the school or don't fund the school? Why does it have to be so stark? Perhaps the perception hasn't changed at all. Perhaps there are voices that are louder, and the voices that support the school haven't spoken up as loudly. I'm here to speak loudly that HOS is part of Anacog. It's an asset, not a liability. Without it, we are less of a community, given the role that it serves as a place for community gatherings of every sort. So I encourage the town council to support the school as requested. Thank you.
Sarah Barnes.
I was just signing in.
Okay, thank you. Thelma Gillespie.
Don Gillespie for Watson Street. The town council, I am very pleased to know that you have put it in your budget to get rid of the wood chips. I was there this past week with 7 little girls and they wore those swings out. Thankfully, I got them to go a little bit slower to keep from falling because of the wood chips. But I did notice that the basketball court is in really, really bad shape and it does need to be resurfaced. So I'm hoping that that would be in your budget. I'm glad to know that the rubberized filling is there, but the basketball court needs to be fixed. That would be the expense of the town. The playground was not, nor was the lighting in our neighborhood because that came from our block grant. When we applied for the block grant some years ago, which we still have the money, those lighting, that extra lighting was part of that. And it has been paid for from that money and not from the town's coffers. Just want everyone to know that. Thank you.
Maybe that.
Ed Vargas.
Suspense was killing me. I'm going to cheat and just read an email that I sent to everybody on the council earlier today. And I'm talking about the pickleball courts. I know a lot of people may not be aware of the game or what it consists of and what the benefits are, but
Sorry, where do you're a resident?
Oh, I'm sorry, I live on 10 Kerr Street.
Okay, thank you.
Somewhere in town. In a general sense, the building the pickleball courts, not just one, but 3, would serve as a way to funnel visitors and tourists into the local businesses, because I've been approached many times by people visiting, asking where can they play pickleball here? Unfortunately, the closest place is the YMCA and you have to be a member there. So that would be a feeder to, once they finish playing, they go and eat or go to one of the local stores. So it adds to the economy. I don't see that benefit existing with a senior center. So with that in mind, a few thoughts about pickleball. It's the fastest growing sport in the country. It has been added to the Olympics as it requires speed and agility to play well. It is a game that all ages can learn easily and promotes quality social and family time. Myself, being a young 68 years old, have personally played against other players ranging in age from 7 years old to 86 years old. So there are no age limits on who can play and enjoy it. In addition to enjoying the game itself, the atmosphere fosters camaraderie and good social networking. Once someone begins playing, they quickly find that they belong to a new group of acquaintances and friends. It helps keep all players active with a moderate amount of low-impact physical exercise. I already covered that. With the courts being located within Onancock, many of these visitors would play at our courts and then stroll to the town, becoming patrons of the restaurants or shops. The two locations that I've heard being considered in Hancock are the dog park and the baseball fields park. A third viable location would be the historic Hancock School. The noise generated from pickleball games is minimal and much less than any event would generate at the new pavilion being built at the HOS. The noise is also much less than that generated at the baseball fields on game days. Pickleball has a sound similar to ping pong and not the constant noise level generated by baseball games and surrounding crowd noise. The issue of bathrooms could be addressed short-term with porta potties, with a possible future improvement being a fixed restroom facility.
Time's up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim McGowan?
Good evening, Mayor and council members and town manager. Just bring this up, I was making some notes. Sent an email earlier to the council members and I was just forwarding it to Mr. Spuck. I live in town, I've been here 34 years, I bought my house I'm sorry. Is that okay?
There you
All right,
go.
Sorry, Jim McGowan, live on King Street, I've been here 34 years. Bought my house 30 years ago. And that generally the town has only gotten better. And I've been involved over the years in various efforts, community efforts, and the town has been slowly spiraling upward, I think. And I think an Hancock School is a big part of that. My wife has a studio there. She's built a successful business, partly because of the studio space available. And I'll just read this letter that I wrote this evening. Running to support Town of Hancock's funding for historic Hancock School. As this important asset is owned by the town, financial support is needed to maintain and enhance its real estate value and value to our community. And is there anything in the budget or not? I thought the ad said you're proposing 25,000. Is there something in the budget?
There's a proposal for, there's a line item, but there's also a proposal for a loan, USDA loan.
Right, because the town.
Yeah, that's their
owns the-
proposals.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, I saw something about 25,000 per year. It would be a small investment. When compared to the countless volunteer hours donated annually to maintain and staff the facility. Historic Hancock School provides a pleasant meeting space used for community meetings, fundraisers, social functions, and studio space for artists and artisans who pay taxes. The playing field, nature trail, and playground are important community recreation facilities. And I learned tonight there are many more recreation facilities there that I wasn't aware of. And the grounds host community events and concerts. I encourage the town to continue supporting historic Hancock School. I looked at, Mayor, you said 350 to put an HVAC system in that ballpark figure.
Yeah, we're still waiting out there.
Yeah,
That number.
so in 20 years, that would be $17,500. And I think would be a good investment for the town. Replacing the boiler doesn't make sense. It's not adequate to begin with, and the town owns the facility. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Paul Wetzel?
No comment.
Billy Murphy, I'm sorry, I couldn't reach you.
Skip Mayor.
Okay. no. And, last, Hayden Rochester.
I should be on that list as well, please. Somewhere on that list.
I think you're probably on the other one, hold on.
Let's sign both. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not on this one, but you can come up, you can talk.
That's right, call the Hayden first.
Yeah,
That's
Hayden, yeah.
fine, I will, speak after, Mary, let her.
Okay, yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm like back up, they're standing in the back of the hall and they're also outside the door.
Thank
Just to
you.
let you know. I am Mary Clements, I live at 8 Joint Street, have a business at 59 Market Street. I want to thank the mayor for his one-on-one meeting he had on 7th of May. It was very informative, thank you, I hope it keeps on going. You want to talk about volunteers? The entire OVFD and Hancock Volunteer Fire Department is volunteers. I have known some of these people myself for 35 years, and Lord knows, some of these guys are still running the calls. And I only know the guys because the ladies have all died, my generation. I carefully read the information packet for tonight's meeting. I'm very pleased to see the match of $45,000 listed on page 34 under possible uses of 2024 reserves. I sincerely hope that being at the bottom of this list does not indicate the order of the priority of spending. OVFD wrote for and received a grant to rehab and equip a special rescue unit. This unit will be the first of its kind on Virginia's Eastern Shore. It's designated to provide special extrication capabilities in profound vehicular accidents. Route 13 traffic already exceeds the highway safety designs, and accidents will only increase because of the uncontrolled growth happening in Accomack County. To secure this unit, or to secure the grant, OVFD requires matching funds. That's the proposed reserve spending funds in that. Please provide that. There's a special term within the trauma community known as the golden hour. If extrication, treatment, and transportation of the victim can occur within an hour after the trauma, the likelihood of survival is significantly increased. The new unit is designed for that purpose. Over the past few years, the town has spent large amounts of tax dollars on enrichment programs. You can live without art, without music, without theater performances, without dog parks, without pickleball courts and walking trails. You cannot live without a heartbeat, or you will stuck under your SUV that is flipping over on top of you. This unit is to help that situation. I formally request that, 1, the matching funds of $45,000 be approved. 2, that the amount be doubled to $90,000. And 3, that the town's annual contribution of $25,000, an amount that has not been reevaluated in the last 4 years, be doubled. The requested funds are not for enrichment, but for the valuable life-saving services of a volunteer company. Thank you.
Hayden?
Thank you, I don't think I'll make a comment much.
I'm sorry, I think I signed the wrong list.
Well, we're getting ready to go on to the public comments now, general public comments. So,
Oh, all right.
if you're on this list, and I think Mary, you were on the wrong list here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you don't need, okay, no, okay. Okay, Mark Sinclair, you're also on this list. Pass. Rosemary?
Rosemary already spoke.
This is public comment about anything.
Okay, time out. Do we need to close the budget
Oh,
hearing?
sorry. The public hearing on the town budget is hereby closed.
The general comment that I have is actually with respect to the water situation. I just want to know, and I don't know if you can answer me actually, whether the town has contracted with, a water engineer and a hydrologist to determine the capability and the cost of supplying the water to thousands of homes outside the town. I think that that is critical. You know, the effect it's going to have on our wells and any ancillary cost that the town might bear, either in implementing the water distribution and or maintaining the system. So that's my concern.
Yeah, I'll answer that for public comment. Okay, yeah, I think we have some information with that. Priscilla, you're on this one? Dana, you're up, yeah, you've got public comments.
All right.
I love Onancock and I'm so happy we've moved here. And part of the cool thing is the community and clearly, you know, you see the love of the school and it's really, it's very good. I get it. And you guys are very passionate and engaged and I just want to give you another perspective because Onancock also has the downtown, it has many different neighborhoods and there's a lot going on. And I'll just say as of some new resident and new business owner, someone who's bought property downtown, it feels often like downtown is, you know, it's like the school. And a lot of times the oxygen gets sucked out of the room about everything else. And the downtown's pretty cool. And I went over to the school and I saw how beautiful some of the studios were there. And I really, really wanted some of the people there to move downtown. There were some empty storefronts. And I still, please, come downtown if you can. Because the more we can honor the whole of Onancock, the more it's balanced and everybody gets something. I've heard sidewalks are needed. I've heard lights are needed. I've heard all kinds of small things, benches in the other playground so people can sit. That's small. That should have been done yesterday. So I just want to see more balance. And I'm also concerned because I've often heard the school asking for money. So when a bank offers money to somebody, it's clear that they're going to be able to pay it back. And I have to say, I'm a little bewildered how you're going to do that. Are you going to be raising the fees that the people pay for the different studios to market price, like everybody else pays downtown? I heard something kind of cool. If people really like, you know, it seems like that there's no end lease. Well, do you want to do a co-op situation? That would be cool. And then you really invest in your studios and things, and you could invest in the building as well. But just some, you know, I don't know, maybe we need to just be a little more creative too. But I think it would be important to know how, you know, that rent, the loan would be repaid. I'm curious about that. Then I'm also just, second thing, I want to have a water study done. And I'd really like to have kind of a general study to see how environmentally, as we go forward, our resources are going to be able to fulfill the need that we need from them. So I'd like that to be in the budget too, for a study. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, Janet Rochester.
I'm Janet Rochester, 39 King Street. I came to this meeting, which is assuredly my last town council meeting in Hancock, with the express intention of saying thank you to the town council for their time and their efforts. We have heard a lot this evening about the value of volunteers. And anybody who has lived here for more than about 6 months knows how dependent the shore is on volunteers to get things done. We've heard mention tonight of the fire department. We know so many people do so many things, whether publicly and visibly or quietly in the background, to achieve the things that need to be done on the shore, and that the various governmental bodies do not see fit to fund. And that was all I was coming to say. I appreciate your time and all your efforts. We have heard it said that something like town council is a thankless job. Well, I'm bucking the trend. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the public comment. We had two questions. One, Matt, what is the loan on the water tower ballpark and what is the interest rate? We had a question. I think that's,
Yeah, nothing up my sleeve. The original loans were $1,070,000 at 4%. That has $863,000 left on it. The second loan was for $47,000. That has $37,000 left on it. And the last was $3 million. It has $1,588,000 left on it, and then that's at a 0%.
yeah, I thought one was like, no, almost
The
3 million.
big one's at 0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that, okay.
May I ask about that? To clarify, when you say the water, do you mean the water tower, the water department?
The entire
whole
infrastructure
thing.
from the distribution system to the tower to the wells,
we redid some lines in town and,
2/3 of them, yeah.
Could you repeat those? They went by really fast.
they're on.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I asked if you could repeat.
Yes,
You,
please.
you want me to just send them to you?
No, just repeat them and then we'll have them, just one little fast for us.
Okay, the original loans, there were 3. One was for $1,070,000 at 4.125%. As of last year, it had $863,000 left on it. The second one was for $47,000. Understand that one. For 4.125%. And it has $37,000 left on it. And then the last one was $2,989,099. It's 0% interest. And that has 1.588073 left on it, which is a total debt on the water distribution system of 2.489 million.
And the term is what, 40 years, right?
Yeah, 40 years.
All of this is in the audit.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, if you look, we get an audit every year. It's in the audit, all these loan amounts and when we started. In terms of the water study, when we applied, it's not correct, when we applied for the our new increase in our water, they hired a private company to.
We did.
We did, and there was they hired. I thought there was another company that was hired to do the water study.
The DEQ
Yeah.
Works with the groundwater committee of the shore.
Right.
I hired a geologist who also works with the groundwater, but that way I didn't have a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So we had a geologist work for us to evaluate the application that DEQ considered.
And he's willing to come and talk to us at some point, correct? We're gonna
At
try to
some
get-
point, but we don't know what the result of the application was, so.
Right, so we're waiting, yeah, but we're still, the application is still pending, correct?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Mr. Mayor, when we applied for these loans way back when we were redoing that whole water system,
Okay, we're on loans. Got it. Go.
when we were applying for those, we knew that there was gonna be a lot of construction, and new residents. And the loans and the ability to use the system was based on the proposed number of new residents. We never met those numbers.
Right, the volume that the system will allow that it's manufactured to produce is 600,000 gallons a day. That's
And how much do
200,
we
that's
use?
we use about 220,000 gallons a day.
So we went 2/3 over what we needed at that time to accommodate the
For
future.
growth,
And
yes.
the future may be here.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, all right, that concludes the public comment. We have the Main Street presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Fossey, Town Council, Town Manager Spuck, Debbie, and all the residents, and those outside of town as well. I am Lisa Figgy, the president of Anacott Main Street.
Back in January of this year, Anacog Main Street asked town council to support the Virginia Tourism Corporation Marketing Leveraging Program grant that OMS was going to be applying for in March. Town council graciously voted to appropriate $20,000 for the grant match to expand marketing efforts for the town of Anacog. This is a one-to-one grant matching program, which is designated to help localities leverage their existing marketing funds. This grant requires a targeted, research-based marketing plan to drive Virginia tourism. OMS's total grant proposal was slated to spend a total of $40,000 in marketing dollars on behalf of the town. Anacog Main Street recently received our award letter from the Virginia Tourism Corporation for this grant. According to the Virginia Tourism Corporation, they received 180 applications for this grant, which totaled $4 million in requested grant funds, with only $1.5 million to share among the applicants. Therefore, OMS was funded at 65% of the initial request, which equals $13,000 from the state. As good stewards, we wanted to make sure town council was aware of the change. However, because we want to continue to provide the maximum benefits to Anacog, we are requesting that you keep the originally appropriated $20,000, which would allow us to fund 82.5% of our original proposal, impactful projects despite the Virginia tourism cut. While several marketing initiatives from the original proposal are no longer fundable, we have worked diligently with a professional marketing team to maximize the benefit of the remaining projects. I'm happy to answer any questions you all have.
Any questions?
So you're asking for 28,000, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm sorry. There's been many versions of this today. So originally it was $20,000 from the town, $20,000 from the state. The state is now giving us $13,000. The match requirement at this point is now only $13,000. What we're asking is the town continue to give us the full amount that you previously allocated on our behalf for $20,000.
If you only need a match for 13,000, then what is the other for?
So what I'll be able to do if you decide not to continue to fund us what you've already appropriated, which was the full $20,000, we'll only be able to fund 65% of the original programming. And where we're coming from for this is these are the marketing dollars for the entire town. And right now, I don't think Matt has anything budgeted for the coming year. I know that this is something that everybody's gonna be working on in the future as well, but for right now, we have a project ready to go. And for the additional funds, we can still fund almost 83% of what we initially asked for. Yes, ma'am.
Can you briefly tell us what the funds were going to be used for?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
We're going to be working with a company called Advanced Travel for the following items: digital display banners, paid social media, paid YouTube ads, longitudinal, you know what I mean, lat launch, placement ads, which is geolocations determined by OMS and Advanced Travel, and it's targeted based on zip codes. There was also Spotify ads, and there were paid searches is actually not a part of the original item, but we've added that back in, and I can explain more later about that. We were also going to do new rack cards and rack card placements around Virginia Welcome Centers. We were going to do a Welcome Center Blitz for the month of September as a new tent Welcome Center. And then we were going to place an ad in Virginia Travel Guide for 2025.
Thank you. Do you think that you can trim back some of the advertising, because we keep talking about everything is geared toward tourism, and we need some things that are residential.
Yes, so
And
I
don't see all of what that Main Street is doing right now. It's like money going out.
Well, so this marketing grant is specifically for marketing tourism. There's another grant that's going to be opening this summer that's called a micro business grant through the Virginia Tourism Commission, which is a little bit different. That's what helps us fund our shoulder season promotions for the businesses and bring in dollars that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Lisa about another subject. May I ask her about that? Lisa, I think that you mentioned over the years, I recall, you're talking about a water study was done by, wasn't it Davis Ravel?
But that was a water rate study.
Water rates.
Yes, Davis,
Okay.
Bowen and Friedel, yes.
Thank you for clarifying that. Mr. Mayor and I were on the elected officials tour recently, and our last stop on that tour, a young lady spoke by the name of Amanda Pollock, and she is a water engineer, water resource engineer at the Center for Water Protection, and she does recommend that a study be conducted to determine if our infrastructure can handle the increase. She said that Arcadis, who we've been working with, could do the study since they did the analysis previously. And other firms that she recommended would be Davis, Bowen, and Friedel, which we've had to, yes, previously, and A. Morton Thomas Engineers. So I'd like for us to consider checking into one of those and getting a water engineering study.
Can we finish with the Main Street item first before we
Yeah,
discuss that?
any
further?
questions about Main?
Sorry, no,
Uh,
he's asking a question.
any other questions for Lisa? All right,
And
thank
then
you.
Main Street has a question.
Oh, yeah. We're asking you to keep what you've already appropriated for us, the 20,000 at level, so that we can do the majority of what we initially wanted to do
All right, thank
for
you.
this town.
So,
Now we can discuss.
Wait a minute,
we need-
we need a motion.
Oh,
This is comment.
If we're gonna,
No,
do you wanna?
comment's over.
are you
This is
leaving
also
the
part,
same?
this is also part of the budget already, so you're not voting on the resolution until next time.
right.
So,
And also, we, in our multi-year.
vote on it at the next time.
So voting on one part of the budget to right now.
Right, yeah, so.
Is out of order.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm confused about what we're talking about. To me, we haven't finished with Main Street.
I thought she was finished and she was asking for the 20,000 to stay.
Correct. Do we need
Right,
a
which is
motion?
in the budget. No, because it's in the budget already.
Is everyone in agreement with that?
You're
position?
voting on that next time.
Excuse me, is this no different than anybody else who's come forward and asked for money? And to say, you know, it's keep the
Well,
budget
it's already in the budget, correct?
there, but
Yes,
they're
yeah.
asking for it,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna make a decision on
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things
correct.
at this moment. Thank you.
Can't vote on
My,
it.
my one last comment, if you all want to see any more data on what we have been doing marketing, please send me an email. I'll be happy to gather some things for you guys, so you have more information to back up stuff.
I would be curious to see what the prioritization is,
Okay.
what would happen if it stays, if at just the
I
one-to-one?
have a spreadsheet. I'll be
And
happy.
then what the add-ons would be for the additional
Okay.
7,000 that would be the full
Absolutely.
20, that would have been the match if it had been the whole thing from the
Yes.
state.
Absolutely.
That'd
I
be
can get
great.
that for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody, I'll send it to everybody. That's
In our multi-year projects, which would come from the operating budget, not reserves. I know Jeff has been working with Advantage.
Same company.
Yeah, so you would work in conjunction with that because this is in the budget for 30, 40, 50,000 dollars.
It's not in the budget. That we have to be very clear on,
Multi-year projects which come from the operating.
which is not in the budgets. It's just for you folks to talk about. Just like the landscaping is,
Well,
those
I'm
are
just
numbers
asking-
there, but it's not
Just
in the
asking
budget.
If you would work in conjunction with.
I think there's some definite things that we need to iron out. And I know Main Street's happy to be at the table and to discuss, you know, what the goals are of the full town and how we can help support that. So what our level would be with them, I feel like the town would probably have their own contract for those services, and then we would be able to supplement potentially with through a grant and potential grant match, to bring in more dollars for these types of projects.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Resolution to dispose of unused town assets.
We don't need
I know.
I think it's in the reserve. Hang on, I just need to. Yeah, we have, are you looking for me to explain?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was self-explanatory resolution as we've got 3 vehicles that we no longer use that I would like to sell. and would need your permission to do that. They'll be sold with a sealed bid through public docs as normal, but
Okay.
2 dump trucks and a charger, if anybody's interested.
I tried to look up the value of the charger, but you have to have a license plate to do it. It's pretty old.
Because it's also a police license plate, you're not gonna find that.
Well, there was 2 options.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this? Is there a resolution here?
Yes.
Yes, it's on page 12 of your package.
Yeah, just say just a motion to.
I move that we adopt resolution 05 20 24 01 to authorize the town manager to dispose of 3 vehicles according to the Virginia Code and town purchasing policy.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Yes, I noticed that in our, capital plan, in 2027, we're buying a dump truck for 68,000. So we're selling the dump trucks before we buy a dump truck. Do we do a dump truck?
If you would like to come down and sit in the dump truck, that is
I'm
point,
asking
no.
a legitimate question.
Yes, it is. One of the pickup trucks is aging out and we're gonna replace it with a 250 dump truck. So we're not actually replacing a dump truck. We're replacing a pickup truck with a dump package.
I'm totally in support of disposing.
Yeah, I am as well.
We have a brand new dump truck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
We're gonna buy another dump truck.
smaller one, yeah.
yeah, on the back of a 250.
Yeah,
It's much smaller.
All right, any other discussion? Take votes, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we didn't get committee reports on here.
Do you have,
Um,
let me just pull this one out.
Does anybody have objection to 2 small committee reports?
Did anybody meet?
Planning, if I go through the planning commission, which may have a meeting, right?
Yes.
Could you, Matt?
Yeah, primarily we talked about removing Article 12 from the ordinances because it doesn't make any sense and it's not really, I don't really know why it's in there. It's the one that says that you need to have off-street parking assigned for every 100 square feet you have of business or residence downtown. You have to have 1 off-street parking assigned to you. We have 164 off-street parking spaces in town that are owned by the town. And 1 building, with the 6 condos was, you need 170 of those with this. So it just, I think when the ordinance was written, I think it got copied from a big city or a big town and it stayed in there for a good long time.
So we're gonna have to have a public hearing on that, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And that'll come, and as well as the parking regulations in general, that's coming next in June.
Yes.
We're gonna schedule that, we have a restriction.
Yeah, in June, you're gonna have a joint public hearing for the removal of Article 12. You're gonna have a joint public hearing for the rezoning of Jack Richardson's gallery. I don't know the number.
Right.
And then
3 public hearings, that's right.
and then we should be ready at that point to recommend the new parking ordinance for you.
Okay, all right. All right, the waterfront committee, that was pretty, we just opened the wharf up. I don't think there was any,
Yeah, there's not a lot going on. We're looking at a new pump out.
right, the pump out failing, yeah.
Give them parts today.
Any questions about that? Okay, see what else, personnel,
Didn't meet.
We don't meet again until June.
Main Street, we got a, anything on
I
Main
don't have
Street?
anything additional to what Lisa presented.
School,
Yes, the next major event is the Blooms and Brushes Tour on Saturday, June 8th. Hope everybody can come. It should be great with people opening their gardens for people to visit and painters painting, and then a reception where you can buy the wet paint paintings. Pavilion work is continuing, as is fundraising, and as was mentioned in public comment, because of a recent status report on the furnace, we are at the point of realizing that the borrowed time has run out, and we're trying to make alternate arrangements to be able to keep the building going.
Thank you. Any questions about the school? EDA?
No, we have not, but, the first, check was cut and, things are moving along. We've had some suggestions from residents in the community of how, EDA should proceed, and I want to assure the people that we will take those into consideration and move forward very thoughtfully.
That me for anybody on the committee? No.
Yeah, ask about EDA.
Sure.
You received the first check, and could you tell us what that amount was and what it was for?
I believe it was $313,000.
A little more than that. We had,
Thank
we
you.
submitted $577,000 to DHCD. The acquisition price of the building was $250,000. They got the difference, which is $327,000, give or take.
Okay.
So they got that check, and then they're preparing their next reimbursement, hopefully for this Friday. Not
So
reimbursement,
that
it's a
gives-
loan,
That gives
but,
you
you know.
funding your seed money and you no longer need money?
No.
No.
I'm just asking a question here, folks, please.
Now, the first payment on the loan is due the first of the month following their certificate of occupancy.
Right.
Once they get their loan payments, they have an interest rate of 2.5%. The EDA can access that 2.5% if they deem it necessary, but that's it. The rest of it is.
I thought the town got the 2.5% interest.
No, the EDA.
Not anymore,
No more?
not anymore.
What happened?
The EDA gets it.
Because when the town was gonna get it was before we realized we
Right.
needed an EDA, right?
Which we
That's
are-
correct.
Which we are required to have.
The
Yeah.
EDA is a separate.
The town was not legally allowed to loan money to a private entity. We needed to create the EDA. Once we created the EDA,
Excuse me.
all financial transactions go through the
But that
EDA.
was the administrative side of it, why you got the 2.5%. I know I don't have a great memory, but I don't remember hearing this part that we didn't get anything out of that.
Yeah, no, it's a completely separate subdivision. The EDA is totally separate,
I
Totally.
understood that.
right?
But
Totally autonomous.
and yeah, I know that, and the principal goes into, so the funds that you just received are these available? to-
Those funds went to the
Yes.
developer.
That was.
So the EDA doesn't have anything.
Okay.
We're still at zero.
Yeah.
She got, we got that too. but She's.
So so they won't have any money until after the loan payments start again.
Okay.
And that, you know, I mean, obviously the grant was received to revitalize downtown, not spend the interest.
And two, it is the Economic Development Authority. Our purpose is to develop economically in town.
I understand the part about the authority.
All right, okay, town manager's report.
I'm gonna go quick. It's in the packet. The HRSD transition about water meters. I'm done talking about water meters until it actually starts to happen. That we're going to bid for the water meters. It's gonna take, you know, as long as it takes, and will probably be delayed even longer. So I'm just gonna sit there and say, you know, plan on winter time for new meters. You know, I keep striking out on the date for this thing. The street repairs, it's pothole repair season for me. And there's a function on our text service that I would love for everybody to learn about. So if you text pothole to 757-302-3900, and actually to that number, you can send any question you want. But for pothole, I created a special little flow. So if you text pothole to 757-302-3900, you can tell me where it is. You can take a picture of it and send it to me, because I'm gonna miss these things if it's just left up to me driving around. So that, I'm gonna put that in the next manager's minute. And hopefully, I'll get at least a couple of slide responses. Joy stole my thunder about the $1 million IRF, so there's that. The website is just about ready to be published. Slipping down the list, I'm not gonna go through ARPA. Yeah, the Ready, Set, Go grant is the next one that we received. We received two of them, actually. One of them is to update the pricing on the King Street sidewalk connection project, which goes from Mark Frank's sidewalk and wraps around, does a crosswalk, and then goes around to the crosswalk, or to the sidewalk that's in front of Sarah's house. And then the next one is they're gonna do okay, go ahead.
On that one, where there was the confusion
Yeah.
in the text, do we need to do anything about adopting that correction?
No, because that's their document.
Okay.
That was just a letter to me. Okay,
Thanks.
so, yeah, no, and I've got that one already. And then the next one is to provide all the engineering and design work for 10 different crosswalks. The list that's in your packet is wrong. That was their list. They were all going on one street, crossing one way. We get to choose which 10 they look at. So I'm gonna make a list basically for you folks to look at and say, yeah, that makes sense, or no, we don't need one there, or okay. And then I think the last thing is, you should know that Sale 250, which is the semi-sesquicentennial, quincentennial, sorry. Almost got it.
Half of 500.
Yeah, okay, half of 500. Okay, so the sale half of 500 is coming in, June of 26. There's a huge event worldwide, or nationwide rather, that's going places, and we've got one of the tall ships coming into town. That is gonna draw a big deal. There's only one other affiliate anywhere near us. 54 ships are coming to Norfolk. We're gonna get one of them. We've got big plans, and you know what I did? I delegated this entire thing to Debbie, because I'm about ringing my bell. So she's got this thing. We've got our logo all set. We've got our tagline all set. Next, we're gonna go to OBCA and start looking for volunteers, because we're gonna need some help. She's gonna need some help. I'm not doing anything.
A lot of neat things we can do.
Financially, we had I would say a stable month. We didn't do anything. There were no extraordinary items. So our net increase includes almost only the amounts from the sewer. So we have dollars because we didn't budget for any sewer income this year, because we thought that they would close on the purchase of the collection system. They did not. Because they did not, we got to bill as normal for that. Those are the dollars that we have for one-time use. I didn't budget for sewer for next year either. We're still not closed. I don't know when it's gonna close. But so if there were next year, there would be for one-time purchases. So that's the difference, that where people are seeing, oh, it's in the budget. Oh, it's not. It's a list on a piece of paper where I said, this is what people have asked for to use those one-time sewer dollars for. So that list is not a recommendation. It's not anything other than a list. Then the next page says possibilities for use in future years. That's where the work with marketing and with Jeff comes in year over year over year. That's where if we were to decide to get a loan, it would go year over year over year. It's not in this year's budget. It's just for your consideration for future use. So one-time use from sewer, that's the one list. The other is multiple year considerations, and they are not in this year's budget. And there's honestly, I don't know how you could fit it in there anyway. You saw what we've got for revenue and expenses.
And we're gonna vote on that at the June meeting.
You are gonna vote on that at the June meeting, but the conversation about the one-timers.
Yeah.
Because that's not part of the budget, it's just using dollars that are there. You don't need to wait. You also don't need to do it tonight, and
We got a lot of, well.
you really do.
Yeah.
A lot of conversations to have.
Mr. Speck, I have a question.
Sure.
On the ARPA funds, it's just, you know, only 3,500, but,
The toilets?
no, the touchless fixtures.
The touchless fixtures, meaning that the little kids can't leave the water on at the Little League Park anymore. Yes.
I was talking to Mr. Billy Justice, because I walk out there, and he said, he shared several things. One is that the ball field is only busy from March to June and September to October because they're off playing
Right.
elsewhere. And he doesn't really want those such costs. He
Well-
said that was a one-off and they got that fixed, but what he really wants is a bleacher. So you might want to talk to him and see.
If you
Whatever.
guys raise your hand and say bleacher right now, you just saved me 20 hours of work.
Bleacher right now,
We have,
Well, I can get a bleacher for 3,500.
yeah,
okay.
it's a very small metal structure. It's falling apart.
I'll tell you what,
So
I will
we're
go shopping for bleachers and I'll put it in front of you for next
looking at the
month.
same amount of money, 35, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend more than that, but I'll go bleacher shopping and we will find out if that actually works.
Well,
And then
okay.
you guys can reappropriate or at least
We're just moving money
rename.
from one account.
Yeah.
Anybody have a problem with that? Any problem with that? Yeah.
If it's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
What
And,
they're
and we can still for, $50, give them the little push, handles so that kids still can't leave the water on. Cause they got a bill once. Whew.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments? Thank you for that. Okay. I'm not on Mayor's comments,
You're not listed.
I'm not listed on the link anyway. Couple things, I had a one-on-one with the mayor, last month, earlier this month, a few people showed up. I'm gonna do it again in June. Hopefully I'm gonna do it at 5:30 in the evening so people can come that are working. If you have any concerns, just, had some donuts last time. We just kind of sat around for an hour or so and talked about the various things. So I appreciate it. If you, I will advertise it on Facebook and the town website when we do it. Elections are, not until November, but the sign up is a month from, pretty much a month from today. 20 June?
No, June 18th.
June 18th. So if you want to run, there are 3 seats open for council. And there's the mayor's, the 3 of us are up for reelection, and the mayor's up every 2 years for reelection as well. So, if you want, you need to go sign up in the next 22 days or something.
Mhm.
The BZA, we still have openings on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I don't think anybody's.
Nobody is,
You
nobody.
need to fill that. If anybody wants to be on the Board of Zoning Appeals, I think it's been, I've seen it maybe meet twice in the 20 years I've been involved with the town, on the council and here.
Where am I gonna
Yeah,
find
it's
it?
an independent body that's appointed by the circuit court, but we have to give the circuit court judge some names. And it's an independent body. If somebody has a problem with one of our zoning rule, they can appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And they can overturn, our decision. So, but it's an independent body but the circuit judge appoints him, but he needs some names. And if anybody wants to do it, please talk to me or Matt and put your name in the hat. It's not.
It's a pretty easy interview, I'll tell you.
Yeah, like I said, they don't do much. when they do something, it could be somewhat controversial, so I'll warn you about that, but, because you're like talking about, variants and things like that. So that's, the other, issue is I see the Queen Street project is the first thing off with our big budget items coming up, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be nice if we could get a group, similar to what we had for the, get a committee or some people from the council and the stakeholders. I know that, the people that own, Wilson Building would be.
Yeah, as soon as you
Yeah.
folks vote for that
Yeah.
capital plan, I'll
Yeah.
start doing all of the
Yeah.
teamwork building and
Yeah, so I
all of
think we
the,
get a committee going, want somebody from council to just think about if you're interested in helping out with that, so we can get that going. We want to move on this Queen Street project, it's in the fiscal year 24, isn't it?
yeah, I can go on July 1.
Yeah, so if we vote on that at the June meeting. The last comment I have is, I think we have several people that are leaving town. I'm sad to say, I'm gonna, or I don't know if you know that Barbara and Steve Johnson are leaving tomorrow. They have been a huge asset to this town. HRSD is here probably because of Steve Johnson, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done. He's also, he's been on HRSD, he's on the EDA, he's been on the waterfront committee. Barbara was one of the original members of the Main Street. She was one that came up to start Main Street, and they have just been a huge asset to this town. And I couldn't list the number of things they've done for this town,
And for the whole shore.
and the whole shore, and we're sorry to see them.
In the state.
Yeah, and I'm just sorry to see them leave, so that's it for my. Huh?
I said for the Commonwealth.
No, exactly, yeah, he was on the Commonwealth Transportation Board for 8 years. So. All right, that's all I have, and I'd like to thank the fire department for showing up with their truck out there, and if you guys can look at it, it's quite a piece of equipment for $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the one they want to outfit, that's what the.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very supportive of trying to give them as much as our budget allows. All right, council comments, Ray? Joy?
Yes, I would like to address the comments that were made about the neighbors to neighbors. We are asking for HVAC and an elevator based upon the results of our survey. Now, keep in mind that survey only went out to, it went out to every house in Anacostia. I don't know how we would spend $175,000 up there. Mr. Spuck, do you see $175,000 going into?
I see $135,000 in the elevator. I mean, that's it, because we're a commercial building, we're required to have a commercial elevator.
Right.
That's the least expensive because it has to also have an elevator chute that has to be constructed. Staff rather.
I think we're talking 80,000,
Well,
whatever.
That was the lowest price I could get was that, and then we also have to renovate the bathroom upstairs to be ADA.
Right.
And then obviously the air conditioning.
Please do not call it a senior center. It is not a senior center. This is the only bone of contention the entire committee ever had, was what we were known as a group as. We don't like the word senior. I personally liked elder, but that didn't apply. It is a community center for young and old, for residents and tourists. And for those of you who've not attended meetings previously, you've not heard people come in and ask us for this. This has been requested. So I think it's a small investment with huge returns and I'm not sure I even would say just for an Anacostia. I mean, we're not going to check your ID at the door to see where you live, I don't think. Our vice president is here, Phyllis Ward. Have I missed anything, Phyllis, that you think
No,
should be
it's
added?
very much an Orlando community.
Right. The other thing I have is to piggyback on what the mayor said about Steve Johnson and all that HRSD has done for this town. I was just brainstorming today, and thanks to Steve Johnson and Bob Bloxham and Matt Spuck and delegates Bloxham and Lewis and Governor Northam, the first thing we did was pay off our debt of $4 million on the sewage plant, and that, then it also saved the town 100 to 100,000 in delayed maintenance, which we'd never done and didn't have the money to do. They've paved streets, HRSD has paved streets. We've applied some of their revenues to water rates, the digital meters, which are coming. Wachapreck also has sewage because of HRSC. And in my numbers, I come up with 1.9 million in revenues from HRSD from 2021 to present. So this has been a huge influx of cash for the town. And if I understand your town manager notes correctly, it's going on through midwinter, right?
No, that's just when the water meters are gonna be installed.
Misunderstood.
Yeah.
But it's continuing.
Until they close on the last pumping station, and then it's gonna stop immediately.
Yeah, they probably,
But we do appreciate all that.
they're probably
Just one last thing, in the 6 years that I've sat on council, I have always voted for everything historic and Hancock School was asked for. There's never been a no vote come from me for anything. I think, however, which should be made clear that the 600,000 that has been proposed, and this is a question I have for Mr. Spock and the mayor. Can the school get a loan? See, this is a
No.
town loan.
They have no assets to back it.
Okay, so that's enough. This is a town loan that will be paid back by the
Well,
600,000.
I think there's a lot of conversations that have to take place with that. Yes, it would be a town loan, how it gets repaid back, who pays it back, what percentage of, all of that is a lot of conversation. So I did confirm with USDA that these 3 projects would qualify for one of their loans.
For the USDA loan. We heard from 18 people this evening and all of your comments are appreciated. And, certainly the school does need, just like upstairs needs an HVAC. The school needs it. We heard from 18 speakers, 8 of whom lived in town and 4 of whom spoke for the school. I'm a data person. I collect data. So I just want to share that with you. We will talk about it.
Cindy?
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is an excellent turnout for a budget hearing, and we really thank all of you for your input. This helps us do our job, and really, it's just heartening to see so many of you here. Thank you.
I too want to thank everyone for coming out because this is proof that we can communicate. And we have opportunities. I've said at the last meeting, you can call me anytime. The mayor's now doing what is it, monthly or weekly thing? It's a good thing. And I'm glad we're talking. And there are some hard subjects and we have to be able to communicate. I have one on the lighter side. There was a cannon at the school and I've been asked where it is and why that piece of history is no longer in front of that school. You're on it?
Yeah, I've tried.
He's on it.
Joni's not here.
No, Joni's here.
Oh, yeah.
It's right where that-
We'll follow up on that. We know where it is.
You know where it is?
Yes.
But if we,
Huh? It was a part of a barrel.
Well, what is it?
It was a howitzer, wasn't it?
It was part of a barrel from a World War I gun.
Yeah.
It was just a barrel gun.
And there was.
And I've been asked, I admit I'm remiss, I'm not following up on that, but, yeah, I'll follow up. We'll follow up on that.
There's a story about it being a gift to somebody in the principal or something, so it seems like it's important to somebody, so please, let's just follow
I'll
up.
definitely follow, I don't know what happened, but I will follow up and find out what.
Thank you. I'm finished.
And Sarah.
I want to echo the comments about Barbara and Steve Johnson. The lists of things in which they have contributed is as long as the arms of everybody in this room put together. And I also would like to thank Janet and Hayden Rochester.
Thank you.
She thanked the council, but they have also been among the primary volunteers involved in the library, the school, the The OBCA, I can't even think of everything else. Harbor Fest, working hard in whatever ways they could without any thought of seeking gratitude. They did it because they could and they wanted to participate. And I just applaud that, and I know that I will miss them and that this community will miss their contributions as well. So,
Motion to adjourn.
do we need another work meeting between now and June 25th?
I think we have what we need to, we're gonna have to vote in June, it's gonna be, you're gonna make some hard decisions. If you want, don't want to, we're gonna have a work session. No, we'll have a meeting on that June.
Well, you're voting on the budget with the 3% across the board.
Right, yeah.
What you
Yeah.
haven't, what you need to direct me on
Yeah.
is how or if you want to use those one-time sewer funds.
Do you need to know before that meeting?
No, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't, but I need to know before year end,
At the year end, yeah, right.
before year end.
Use those one-time funds.
All the things we did on
the list.
Page
Um,
34.
we
Page
have-
34.
We have to spend it
You
before
are,
year
I
end,
just-
right? Okay.
So you need to know that tonight?
No,
No, before year end.
I need a, are we adjourning? I need a motion to adjourn before the,
Are we adjourned?
folks.
All right. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you can say that, man. Nice seeing you.